right, guys, we are ready to start our weight training class for today. Now, it's a weight training class because it's geared towards weights, but you can do all of these movements without weights. So if you're just starting out, I would recommend doing all of the exercises today, just going through the motions with no weights to try it out and figure out what your particular body wants to do and where your range of motion is. Then you can add the weights as you get used to the movements. Now, we're going to do seated and standing variations for all of our exercises today. So if you prefer seated to take care of your hips, your knees, your back, whatever, go ahead and grab a chair. One with no arms is best. All right, we are ready to get started. We're going to warm up today with just a nice gentle warm up to get some movement in our body, starting out with some twists. Just loosening up your back. Only go as far as is comfortable for you. We're just checking in, loosening things up a little. 2 more to each side. And then bring everything back to center, moving on to our shoulders. Some nice big shoulder rotations. And then go the other way. Again, just checking in, seeing what your range of motion is, where your body is today. And then throw those arms in and out across your chest, one arm on top and then the other. Perfect. All right, from here, moving down to your elbows. Nice big circles in one direction. And then go the other way. And then moving down to your hands, wiggle those fingers around, and then wrist circles in one direction. And in the other direction. Beautiful. From here, we're going to move down to our lower body. Now, if you're doing the standing version, you're going to bring your feet apart and do some nice big hip rotations. If you're doing the seated version, scoot to the edge of your chair, and you're going to swish your knees side to side, again, loosening up those hips. If you're doing the standing hip rotations, go the other way. Perfect. All right. Now, if you're standing, you're going to start with bopping your knees back and forth just to check in. And then if everything feels okay, start circles in one direction. If you're seated, just swing your knees, loosen everything up, lean back in your chair, maybe grip the bottom a little bit to help with your balance, and just let them swing. If you're going in circles, go the other way. Beautiful. All right. From here, we're going to move on to our ankles. Seated or standing, pick one foot up, spin that ankle in one direction. And then go the other way. And then switch feet. And go the other way. All right, if you noticed any tight spots, anything that was sore or cracking or clicking a lot, make sure you take extra care and be cautious with those parts. It's okay to modify an exercise if the range of motion doesn't work for you. All right, we're gonna start with a squat plus a twist. Now, I go a little heavy for my squats, so it's up to you if you wanna go with heavier weights, lighter weights, or no weights at all. But if you are doing just the standing version, you're squatting and twisting, squatting and twisting. If you're doing the seated version, you have options to either do a sit to stand with the twist, or just focus on the twist and stay seated the whole time. 1 minute on the clock, pick the variation that works for you. Here we go. You got it. You can always try the different variations before you settle on one. If you're not sure what's going to work best for you, give them all a try. Halfway there. You got this. Keep going. Almost there. 5 seconds to go. And time. Beautiful. Set that weight to the side. Stretch yourself out a little bit. And then from here, we're going to go into a bicep curl plus a halo. Now, if you want to do a standing version of this, you can do it in a horse stance to keep the lower body going. If you're doing the seated version, you want to make sure that you bring your legs out nice and wide so you have room to do your bicep curl. Now, I'm holding my weight sideways because I find that easiest for the halo. You could also do 2 separate weights because you're going to be doing a motion around your head like that, just kind of chasing one hand with the other. So bicep curl, come up, halo around your head. We're going to do 30 seconds in one direction, and then we're going to switch to go the other way. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Bicep curl, halo around, and then bring it down. Beautiful, you got it. Try to keep your elbows in close to your head. And you want to be able to bring it around without arching your back too much. Nice. Now, if you can, bring it down by your neck behind you. Not everybody's shoulders move that way, so that's up to you. And switch directions. Beautiful. If you're doing that standing variation with the horse stance, check in with your knees. Are you still doing okay? You have 5 seconds to go. And time. Perfect. Go ahead and put that weight to the side. Stretch everything out just a little bit. And then from here, we're going to go into a wide chest press. Now, if you're doing the seated version, you're going to lean back so that you're doing like an incline chest press coming up to the side, up and to the side. If you're doing this, the standing variation, you can do the same thing up on an angle, or you can lay flat on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor, and do a traditional chest press coming up from the middle. Up to you, pick your variation, 1 minute. Here we go. Bring those elbows out nice and wide, and then come up to the center of your chest. You want your head, neck, and back to stay in a line. So you want to be looking out just above where the plates are coming up to, or the dumbbells, depending on what you're using. This is a great one to do with a resistance band as well, because you can lay on the resistance band and do the chest press that way. Halfway there. The further back you lean for your incline, the more focus you'll have on your chest and less on your shoulders. Slow and steady. 5 more seconds. And time. Beautiful. Set those weights to the side. Shake everything out. Next up, we have alternating rows. Now for this movement, you can do the standing version. Get a nice flat back at about a 45-degree angle. You're gonna let the weights hang straight down, and you're just pulling one arm up and then the other, pulling it up towards your armpits. If you're doing the seated version, scoot all the way to the edge of your chair. Same thing, lean forward, nice flat back, 45-degree angle, And then you're just pulling that weight straight up. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Nice and steady breathing, not rushing. And you want the weight to go up and down at the same speed. So don't just drop it down. Make your muscles work in both directions. Lower with control. Beautiful, you got it. Nice and steady. If you find that this is hard on your back using this 45-degree angle, you can do upright rows without the bend. So again, choose what variation is best for you. And time. Set those weights to the side. Give yourself a little break. Stretch your back out. And then from here, we're going to go into calf raises. Now, if you're doing the seated version, you're going to stack your weights right in front of your shoulders, and you're just flexing those calves, coming up on your toes and the balls of your feet, and then back down. If you're doing the standing version, you're doing basically the same thing, but you may not be able to come up quite as high. Either way, you want to hold your tummy in nice and tight and reach up through the crown of your head. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. You got it. Now, if you need to make this a little easier, you can rest those weights on your shoulder. If you want to make it a little harder, bring those weights out in front of you a little bit so that you're doing basically a static hold bicep curl. The further out you hold them, the more upper body work you'll have. The closer in you hold them, the more weight you'll be putting on those calf raises. 10 more seconds. All right, try to do the last calf raise and just hold it. If you're standing, this may be a bit of a challenge. If you're seated, you probably can do it. And time. All right, last one we're going to do is a weighted side bend plus an overhead press. If you're doing the standing version, you're going to have one weight hanging down, the other hand going up. And then we're going to switch sides. If you're doing the seated version, same thing, just scoot to the edge of your chair, feet nice and flat. One goes up, the other goes down, and then you switch. 1 minute on the clock. This one is one that can be a little tricky if you, say, live in an RV and have low ceilings, like I do. But the seated variation works great for small spaces with low ceilings. So you always have that as an option. Halfway there. Slow and steady. Remember to control it on the way down as much as on the way up. You want it to go the same speed in both directions. Time. Beautiful. That is one set down, 2 to go. Grab some water and we'll be right back. All right, bring it back in, guys. From here, we're going to go back to the beginning for our squat plus twist. Standing variation, just do the squat and then twist. Seated variation, you can either do the sit to stand or stay seated and focus on the twist. 1 minute, here we go. Now, much like with the exercise, the calf raise exercise, if you would like to increase your upper body work, hold that weight out further from your body. If you need to ease it up a little bit, hold it in close. You can even rest it on your shoulders or your collarbone. Beautiful, you got it. Almost there, 15 more seconds. If you're just doing the twists and you start to feel a little dizzy, take a little pause in the middle to reset each time. Time. All right, set that weight to the side. Get ready for the bicep curl plus the halo. Remember, it's 30 seconds in one direction, 30 seconds in the other. So if you're doing the seated version, make room. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Try to go down behind your head, staying close and tight down by your neck. Still sitting up nice and tall. Tummy squeezed in. Try to keep your back nice and steady. 5 more seconds and then we switch. All right, switch directions. Ten seconds to go. You got this. Time. Beautiful. All right. Up next, we have that wide chest press. Now, if your chair has a hard back like mine, you may find it helpful to have a pillow or a blanket to cushion. Otherwise, if you're leaning against something that's already nice and soft, just make sure you get a good angle. The more you lean back, the better for this one. If you're doing it on the floor, remember, knees bent, feet flat, arms come out nice and parallel, and then push up towards the center of your chest. 1 minute. Here we go. Head, neck, and back in a straight line. Eyes going up just above where your plates are headed up to. This one can be a tough exercise, especially if you're not used to a chest press. So if you need to set the weights down and move to empty hand, you can do the same motions. Just imagine that you're pressing through water so you keep those muscles engaged. You're more than halfway there already. Ten seconds to go. Slow and steady, you got this. Time. All right, put those to the side. Next up, we have our alternating row, either seated or standing. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Flat back, 45-degree angle, pulling the weight straight up to your armpit, keeping your head, neck, and back in a straight line. Nice, steady breathing. Again, if the 45-degree angle is hard on your back, do the upright row variation. Works a little bit different back muscles, but it'll still give you a good workout. $15 more seconds. Looking good. Good job lowering with control. You got it. Time. Up next, we have the weighted calf raise. You can hold off your shoulders out in front of you or rest it on your shoulders, depending on what variation you choose. Standing calf raise or seated calf raise is fine. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Looking good, you got it. Halfway there, 30 seconds down, 30 seconds to go. You can adjust your hand position anytime you need to. Further out makes it harder, closer in makes it easier. 15 more seconds. Remember the last 5, we're gonna just hold that calf raise. All right, here we go. Hold the calf raise. And time. All right, last one is our weighted side bend plus our overhead press. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Pressing it straight up while you lower the other side down. Nice, good job. Just like we did for the rows, we're lowering with control, not just letting it fall. Looking good. Five seconds to go. Time. Nice job. 2 sets down, 1 set to go. Grab some more water. All right, bring it back in for our last set. We're going to make sure that we take a moment to assess. Was anything too hard? Do you need to go down and weight or try it with no weights at all? Was anything too easy? Do you want to try to do a harder variation this time? You choose what's going to be right for you, but in between sets is a great time to assess that. All right, 1 minute on the clock for those squat twists. Here we go. Beautiful, you got it. Adjust the difficulty on this one by how far out you hold the weights and by which variation of squat you choose. And if you're just doing the twists, remember that pause in the middle. It'll help make sure you don't get dizzy. 15 seconds to go. Time. Beautiful. All right, next up we have the bicep curl plus the halo. Grab your weight. 1 minute on the clock, 30 seconds each direction. Here we go. Looking good. Remember, if you want to increase the lower body work, you can do this standing, but in that horse stance. And switch directions. Looking good, you got it. 5 more seconds. Time. All right, next up we have the wide chest press. You can do on the floor, inclined in your chair. You could even do sitting upright if you wanted to focus entirely on your shoulders and just press out this way. Not a lot of chest work in that one though. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Slow and steady. Decide what variation is going to be best for you. And you can always change. If you decide halfway through at the 30-second mark, which is where we are now, that you do better finishing it off without the weights, go for it. If you decide a little extra weight would be better, switch them out, grab your heavier weights. Almost there, 10 more seconds. Time. All right. Next up, we have that alternating row, seated or standing, leaned forward or upright. 1 minute. Here we go. Again, keeping your head, neck, and back in a straight line. Making sure you have good form. And making any adjustments you need to as you go. A key to making this a good back exercise is to squeeze your shoulder blade in towards your spine as you're lifting up. 15 seconds to go. Time. All right, beautiful job. Next up, we have those calf raises, seated or standing, holding the weight at shoulder height, out further, or resting it on your shoulders. You could even, if you want to do the seated version, but your upper body's getting tired, rest those weights on your knees. Up to you. 1 minute. Here we go. Looking good. Play around with that hand position, adjust it in or out, and you can move it back and forth depending on how you're feeling. You might start further out and then gradually bring it in. Got 20 seconds to go. Remember that last 5, we're going to do the static hold, staying at the top of that calf raise. Oh, hold. We're going to keep holding for 3 more seconds. And time. Beautiful. All right, last one is that weighted side bend plus overhead press, seated or standing. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Lowering with control. Nice and steady. Check in with your breathing. Make sure you're still taking nice, even breaths. Halfway there. Remember that you need to go by your own range of motion, and that can change during the course of a workout. So reassess. If it doesn't feel good anymore, change it. Almost there. And time. Beautiful. That was your third round. So go grab some more water and then we'll do our final stretch and we're all done. All right, bring it in for your final stretch. From here, either seated or standing, take a nice deep breath, bring your arms up overhead. And you're gonna fold forward and just let everything relax. Hang for just a second. And then roll up nice and slow. And you're gonna roll your shoulders around and back 3 times. And then forward 3 times. Beautiful. From here, again, nice deep breath, arms up overhead. We're gonna lean to one side. Come back to center, lean to the other side. Back to center. And one more time, folding forward. Just let everything relax. Go as far forward as is comfortable for you. And then roll up again nice and slow. This time we're going to shrug those shoulders up, hold them for just a second, and then drop everything. Let it all sink down. From here, we're going to take one arm, reach it across the body, pull it in. You want to keep your shoulder down away from your chin. And then, if it feels good, just gently nod your head up and down, small motions, just to massage your neck a little. And release. Go to the other side. Again, make sure you're keeping that shoulder down away from your chin. And then if it feels good, add that nod. Release. From here, you're going to take one foot, put it out in front of you, and you're going to reach down towards your shin, your toes, or the floor, whatever's in your reach. Keeping the toes flexed up towards the ceiling so you get a good stretch through the back of your leg. Coming up from here, leave that foot where it is. You're going to take that opposite hand, or take that same hand, and reach to the opposite side. Add a little twist in. Let your shoulders sink down. Relax into the twist. You don't need to press too hard. And then release and come back to center. Switching feet. The other foot comes out, toes come up. Reach down towards whatever is in your grasp. Just pause here for a moment. And then coming back up, take that same side hand, come all the way around for that twist. Relax your shoulders down and take a deep breath. Coming back to center. Last one we're going to do today, going back to that left leg, bring it up and put it across your knee. Now, if this doesn't feel good on your knee, you can do the same figure 4 at your ankle and still get that hip opening. So pick whichever variation is best for you. And then from here, just lean forward just until you find a stretch for you. Your hips can be very tight, so wherever you feel that stretch, stop there and just assess. Are you good here? If you take a deep breath, let everything relax. Can you go forward just a little bit more? One more moment here, and then release and switch sides. Same thing, ankle, you could do shin or all the way up on the knee. Lean forward just until you find the edge of that stretch, wherever that is for you. Take a breath, and then see if you can soften just a little bit further forward. And release. And you are all done. Great job today. I will see you next week.